Have you ever noticed that sometimes silence alone doesn't change anything? You stop texting, you disappear, you go no contact, but deep down, you're still emotionally available to him. And that's why he doesn't feel your absence the way you hoped, because no contact is not just about staying silent. It's about transforming yourself so completely that your energy becomes unforgettable. If you truly want him to feel your value, miss your presence, and realize what he lost, then listen carefully. Here are the 6 things you must do. The biggest mistake people make during no contact is believing that physical silence automatically creates emotional distance. But the truth is, you can stop texting someone every single day and still be emotionally attached to them every minute. You may not be calling them, but your mind is still checking their social media, replaying old conversations, imagining future scenarios, and secretly hoping they notice your absence. That energy keeps you emotionally connected, even if there is no communication happening on the surface. When your happiness still depends on whether he reaches out, you unknowingly give away your power. Every notification becomes emotional torture. Every hour without a message feels personal. And instead of focusing on your own growth, your life starts revolving around someone who is no longer showing up consistently for you. That emotional waiting creates desperation. And desperation is something people can feel even from a distance. The real shift happens when you stop making him the center of your emotional world. Instead of asking, why hasn't he texted me? You begin asking, why am I neglecting myself while waiting for someone else to validate me? That question changes everything. You start investing your energy back into your own life, your own goals, your own peace, and your own confidence. True strength is not pretending you do not care. True strength is reaching a point where your self-worth is no longer controlled by another person's attention. The moment you stop chasing validation, you become emotionally stronger, mentally calmer, and far more attractive. People naturally notice those who are secure within themselves because confidence carries a different energy. And when someone realizes you are no longer emotionally waiting for them, that is often when they begin to feel your absence the most. One of the most powerful things you can do during no contact is become someone who is impossible to forget. Many people think disappearing is enough to make someone miss them, but absence alone does not create value. What truly creates impact is growth. If you disappear and remain exactly the same emotionally, mentally, and physically, then nothing really changes. But when you use that time to evolve into a stronger, more confident version of yourself, your absence starts carrying weight. People often take others for granted when they believe they can easily find the same energy somewhere else. That is why becoming harder to replace matters. It is not about trying to compete with anyone. It is about building qualities that naturally stand out. Improve your mindset, take care of your body, learn new skills, build emotional discipline, focus on becoming more peaceful, mature, and emotionally balanced. The more you grow, the more unique your presence becomes. Confidence is not built through attention from others. It is built through the promises you keep to yourself. Every time you choose growth over obsession, healing over chasing, and self-respect over emotional dependency, you become stronger, and strength changes the way people see you. Someone who once thought they had unlimited access to your energy suddenly realizes they underestimated your value. The truth is, attraction deepens when someone sees that you did not fall apart without them. You became wiser, calmer, more focused, more attractive emotionally and mentally. That kind of transformation creates curiosity because people naturally wonder how someone became stronger after walking away from pain instead of being destroyed by it. The goal is not revenge. The goal is elevation. When you focus on becoming your best self instead of proving your worth to someone else, you naturally become unforgettable. And the most powerful part is that by the time they notice your transformation, you are no longer seeking their approval to feel valuable. One of the biggest emotional shifts during no contact happens when you stop building your life around someone else and start creating a life that genuinely fulfills you. Many people unknowingly place their happiness in another person's hands. Their mood depends on messages, attention, reassurance, and emotional validation. Over time, this creates an unhealthy attachment where life starts feeling empty without that person's presence. But the moment you begin focusing on yourself again, everything changes. A fulfilling life is attractive because it reflects emotional independence. When someone sees that you are growing, smiling, improving, and moving forward without constantly needing their attention, it creates a different kind of respect. People are naturally drawn to those who have purpose, confidence, and peace within themselves. That energy cannot be faked for long because real fulfillment shows in the way you speak, carry yourself, and live your daily life. This is the time to reconnect with the parts of yourself you ignored while emotionally invested in someone else. Focus on your goals, improve your health, strengthen your mindset, spend time with people who genuinely value you, explore hobbies, passions, and experiences that make you feel alive again. The more connected you become to your own life, the less emotional control another person has over you. Many people think posting pictures or pretending to be happy will make someone regret losing them. But temporary appearances do not create real impact. Authentic growth does. There is a huge difference between trying to look happy and actually becoming happy. When your confidence comes from inner peace instead of external attention, your entire energy changes. The most powerful thing about building a fulfilling life is that eventually you stop needing someone to return in order to feel complete. You begin enjoying your own progress, your own healing, and your own journey. And ironically, when someone realizes that your world no longer revolves around them, that is often when they start questioning the space they once occupied in your life. Real growth silently speaks louder than emotional chasing ever could. One of the hardest things to accept after emotional pain is that closure does not always come from another person. Many people stay emotionally trapped because they are waiting for one final conversation, one honest explanation, or one moment that suddenly makes everything make sense. They believe that if the other person would just say the right words, apologize properly, or explain their behavior, the pain would disappear. But in reality, waiting for closure from someone else often keeps the wound open longer. The problem with chasing closure is that it creates emotional dependency. Your healing becomes connected to another person's willingness to communicate, understand, or care. And when that does not happen, frustration grows. You keep replaying memories in your mind, searching for hidden meanings, analyzing every detail, and hoping for answers that may never arrive. That emotional cycle drains your peace and prevents you from moving forward. Real healing begins when you realize that closure is not always something you receive. Sometimes it is something you decide. It is the moment you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, how do I grow from this? That shift changes your entire mindset. Instead of staying emotionally attached to confusion, you begin focusing on your own recovery, self-respect, and future. Not every person who hurts you will have the emotional maturity to explain themselves properly. Some people avoid accountability. Some disappear without clarity. Some simply do not understand the damage they cause. But their inability to communicate honestly should not control the rest of your life. When you stop chasing explanations, you create space for peace. You no longer wake up waiting for a message that may never come. You stop obsessing over what could have been. You stop giving someone the power to determine whether you heal or stay broken. And that emotional detachment is powerful because it allows you to reclaim your energy. The strongest people are not the ones who always get answers. They are the ones who learn how to move forward even without them. Once you accept that your peace matters more than perfect closure, you become emotionally freer, mentally stronger, and far less controlled by the past. Many people believe silence alone is enough to make someone feel their absence. But silence without personal growth often becomes meaningless over time. Anyone can disappear for a few days or weeks. Anyone can stop texting, stop calling, or stop showing up. But if nothing changes within you during that silence, then the situation usually stays emotionally stuck. Real impact happens when silence is combined with transformation. No contact should never be used as a manipulation tactic designed only to trigger guilt, jealousy, or regret. If your entire focus is making someone chase you, then emotionally, you are still centered around them. The real purpose of distance is to reconnect with yourself, rebuild your confidence, and strengthen the areas of your life that were neglected while you were emotionally consumed by the relationship. Growth speaks louder than silence ever could. When someone notices that you have become calmer, wiser, emotionally stronger, and more focused on your future, it creates a completely different impression. People expect heartbreak to destroy confidence. They expect emotional pain to create desperation. But when someone chooses discipline, healing, and self-improvement instead, it becomes powerful because it is unexpected. This is why your actions during no contact matter more than the silence itself. Are you spending your time obsessing over the past, or are you building a better version of yourself? Are you replaying old conversations in your head, or are you creating new goals and experiences that move your life forward? The answers to those questions determine whether no contact becomes a period of suffering or a period of transformation. Silence can create curiosity, but growth creates respect. And respect is far more powerful than temporary attention. When your mindset changes, your energy changes. You become less reactive, less emotionally dependent, and more grounded within yourself. That emotional stability naturally makes you more attractive because confidence rooted in self-worth always stands out. The most important thing to understand is that the goal is not simply making someone regret losing you. The deeper goal is becoming someone who no longer abandons themselves for love, attention, or validation. Once you reach that point, your entire presence changes. And whether someone returns or not, you still win because you gain something far more valuable, yourself. One of the most important lessons you must learn during no contact is that your value does not decrease simply because someone failed to recognize it. Too many people begin questioning themselves after rejection, distance, or emotional inconsistency. They start wondering if they were not attractive enough, loving enough, patient enough, or important enough to be chosen fully. Over time, this self-doubt slowly damages confidence and creates the false belief that being left behind somehow defines personal worth. But another person's inability to appreciate you is not proof that you lack value. Sometimes people are emotionally unavailable. Sometimes they are immature. Sometimes they are confused, selfish, or simply incapable of handling a healthy connection properly. Their choices reflect their mindset and emotional capacity, not your overall worth as a person. The danger begins when you internalize someone else's behavior and turn it into an identity. You start believing that if someone walked away, then there must be something deeply wrong with you. That mindset creates emotional insecurity, and insecure people often begin over-explaining themselves, begging for reassurance, or trying endlessly to prove they deserve love. But real self-worth does not come from convincing others to stay. It comes from knowing your value even when someone leaves. You must remember that love should never require you to abandon your dignity, your peace, or your identity just to keep someone interested. The right connection will not constantly make you feel anxious about your worth. Healthy relationships bring clarity, respect, effort, and emotional safety. If someone repeatedly makes you question your importance, then the problem may not be your value. It may be your willingness to tolerate less than you deserve. The moment you truly understand your worth, your behavior changes naturally. You stop chasing people who only give you temporary attention. You stop settling for inconsistency disguised as love. You stop trying to force emotional connections that continuously drain your peace. Instead, you begin choosing yourself with confidence and self-respect. That is where your real power begins. Not when someone finally realizes your value, but when you realize it deeply enough that you no longer need external validation to believe it. Because once you know your worth, you move differently, think differently, and protect your energy differently. And that quiet confidence becomes something no one can easily ignore. One of the most important lessons you must learn during no contact is that your value does not decrease simply because someone failed to recognize it. Too many people begin questioning themselves after rejection, distance, or emotional inconsistency. They start wondering if they were not attractive enough, loving enough, patient enough, or important enough to be chosen fully. Over time, this self-doubt slowly damages confidence and creates the false belief that being left behind somehow defines personal worth. But another person's inability to appreciate you is not proof that you lack value. Sometimes people are emotionally unavailable, sometimes they are immature, sometimes they are confused, selfish, or simply incapable of handling a healthy connection properly. Their choices reflect their mindset and emotional capacity, not your overall worth as a person. The danger begins when you internalize someone else's behavior and turn it into an identity. You start believing that if someone walked away, then there must be something deeply wrong with you. That mindset creates emotional insecurity, and insecure people often begin over-explaining themselves, begging for reassurance, or trying endlessly to prove they deserve love. But real self-worth does not come from convincing others to stay. It comes from knowing your value even when someone leaves. You must remember that love should never require you to abandon your dignity, your peace, or your identity just to keep someone interested. The right connection will not constantly make you feel anxious about your worth. Healthy relationships bring clarity, respect, effort, and emotional safety. If someone repeatedly makes you question your importance, then the problem may not be your value. It may be your willingness to tolerate less than you deserve. The moment you truly understand your worth, your behavior changes naturally. You stop chasing people who only give you temporary attention. You stop settling for inconsistency disguised as love. You stop trying to force emotional connections that continuously drain your peace. Instead, you begin choosing yourself with confidence and self-respect. That is where your real power begins. Not when someone finally realizes your value, but when you realize it deeply enough that you no longer need external validation to believe it. Because once you know your worth, you move differently, think differently, and protect your energy differently. And that quiet confidence becomes something no one can easily ignore. Someone failing to recognize your worth does not reduce your value. Ride that again. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. Sometimes people lose good things because they lacked emotional maturity, not because you lack value. And the moment you fully understand your worth, you stop trying to convince people to choose you. You choose yourself first. That is the energy that changes everything. So if you're in no contact right now, don't just disappear. Evolve, glow differently, think differently, move differently. Because when your life becomes stronger without him, that's when he truly feels it.